Tonight, KEDCO talks tourism with Director of Tourism Rob Carnegie, and from Fort Henry, Brian Mercer and John Robertson.
Well, now that I've received my marching orders, welcome to KEDCO on the Street. My name is Julie Brown. If you haven't already guessed it, we are on location today at historic Fort Henry. Now, the fort, of course, was built to defend Kingston's naval harbor back in the 1830s. There is quite a bit going on, quite a transition between then and now. And on today's show, we're going to find out a little bit more about the rich history of Fort Henry, what's been going on. There's an exciting application process in effect right now. We'll bring you up to speed on that. And a little later on the show, we're going to talk about the fort's unique relationship to the city of Kingston and its tourism arm of what's going on, of course, in the summer. There's plenty of exciting things going on in the fort. We're going to find out how the fort is tied directly to the city of Kingston. But first, I'm joined by two very important members of the fort, Brian Mercer and John Robertson. Thanks so much for joining us. John, thank you. You are the manager of the fort. There's a lot going on. Let's talk about sort of the big thing that's been making some major headlines, the UNESCO designation.
Well, Julie, that's probably one of the most significant things that's ever affected Fort Henry in its entire history of 69 years we've been in operation. And just a little background, about 2.5 years ago, Parks Canada started putting together the application process to UNESCO to have the Rideau Canal and the Kingston fortifications, including Fort Henry, designated as a World Heritage Site. And we're very, very close. In fact, on June the 30th in Ottawa, as of the last report, the Prime Minister will be there for a celebration, but also to receive a phone call coming from overseas, which should confirm that the Rideau has been selected. And for us, I believe, for the fort anyway, and certainly for Kingston, the world will change significantly because all of a sudden we have a world stage profile that we've never had before.
Why are we a good candidate?
Well, I think we're a good candidate simply because of the unbelievable engineering feat of the Rideau Canal. Of course, the Rideau was built really to protect the capital. In terms of conflict with the U.S., coming down through the St. Lawrence and across the lakes was always a hazard, subject to attack from the American side. And certainly their job was to protect the capital. By building the capital in Ottawa, then they had to find an inland route that was able inland and could be protected. So that started off Colonel John By's mission to build the Rideau. And I know for those of us who live in the area, we somewhat take the Rideau and that for granted. But when all of a sudden someone says, well, it may be a World Heritage Site, it's that significant. You step back and you look at it and you start looking at the kind of work. Not only is it an engineering marvel, but just the labor that was involved in constructing it. And it was roughly the same masons and the same workers that built the fort as well. And the fort was beefed up simply to protect the entrance to that canal, along with the Martello Towers, the Kingston fortifications. So it's a significant honor for us to even be nominated. Not talking about the Academy Awards here. I guess this is more than the World Academy Awards. But everybody's reasonably confident we've done what we had to do. Parks Canada spent a long time putting together the nomination package, and several trunk loads had to be shipped overseas for review. About a year or so ago, or a few months ago, we had one of their board members here for a tour along the Rideau and at the fort. And to say the least, he was quite impressed with the state of the restoration and the strategies in place to protect it over the long term, and that's a key element with a World Heritage Site. How much of the original fabric is in place and what kind of plans are in place to ensure that it's protected for the long term.
Now let's talk a little bit about the original fabric. This is a limestone structure. But it's undergone some changes, some repairs. It was in dire need of repair. And tell us how that's progressing.
Well, in the fort, we sort of refer to that as our black period. Yes, and you're right. I mean, it went for many, many years without the appropriate funding